What's happening, everybody? Thanks, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Crash Bang Boom podcast. Today's guest is Rob Smith of Traindodge, Museum of Light, Calm Collapse, and he also played in St. Louis trio Riddle of Steel, which is the band that I originally heard his playing with and I've been a fan of ever since. Rob and I get into the history of all of his bands, as well as balancing touring with said bands throughout time, playing synth and drums simultaneously, many of his drum influences, various kits throughout the years, and a whole lot more. Catch Rob on tour with Museum of Light starting October 17th, 2025 through the 29th, making stops in Boston, New York, Richmond, Virginia, Durham, North Carolina, Atlanta, Tampa and Gainesville, Florida, Birmingham, Alabama, Austin and Denton, Texas. Be on the lookout for it. A segment with video of the interview can be found on the Crash Bang Boom podcast YouTube page, as well as the full interview and all of the interviews for that matter. So per usual, I hope y'all enjoy it. Now that I'm past the 300 episode mark, feel free to check out any of the previous episodes, and if you enjoy the combos, feel free to give me a sweet review and or a subscription on your preferred podcast platform. Thanks for the support over the last 9 years. It is certainly appreciated. So without further ado, here we go. Rob Smith. Definitely a fun combo. Dig it. Crash, bang, boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.
All right, my long-lost cousin, a very uncommon name in Smith, Rob Smith, the one and only, though, I must say, a drummer that I've been a fan of for quite some time, ever since I first heard you with Riddle of Steel. So this is a cool moment for me in actually catching up with you because, again, I've been a fan for a long time, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing pretty damn good, man. Last time I caught up with you was in Atlanta. Traindodge played a show with Dropsonic, and I believe is there a connection there with vocalist, guitarist, singer, songwriter, producer Dan Dixon? Has he worked with? He's worked with y'all, correct? With Traindodge, that is.
Yeah. Well, we met those guys sometime in the mid aughts or so, just touring, and we ended up doing a lot of tours. I think we just did 4 shows with them last month, and I think we figured out that the last show was the 55th time that we'd played a show together. So we've done a lot of time with those guys. And then Dan, we recorded the last, let's see, two records.
Wow.
No, three.
Okay.
Yeah, we recorded the last 3 records with Dan. He mixed them and everything. And then there's an EP around before that too that John Congleton recorded, but Dan mixed. So he's been doing a lot for us. Yeah. Wow,
that's crazy. 55 shows?
Yeah, man.
That's hard to imagine. How many years back does that go?
We probably met them in probably 2003 or 2004, somewhere around there. And by 5 or 6, we were pretty pretty tight, doing lots of tours together. We did a split EP. We actually did a split EP where each band did a couple of their own songs, and then we swapped tracks. Like they gave us drum and bass of a song, and we gave them drum and bass of a song, and the other band finished the song.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're close with all those guys. Yeah,
that's wild, man.
And then I actually lived in Atlanta for maybe 2.5 years.
Okay.
Around 2000. Oh gosh, I don't know, 11, 12, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And so I remember one record I did. A Traindodge record, I did the drums, just me and Dan in a room. The other guys weren't even here. They just set tracks out and to a click, and I just did everything that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've recorded some records like that too. It's kind of nice just to not have that additional pressure of bandmates twiddling their thumbs while you're trying to knock your drum parts out, because you know the shit, and it's like, just give me the click, let me knock it out. We got the feel, I feel like I could do it.
I gotta say, I hated it.
Did you really?
In the moment, it turned out okay, but I don't know. There's no replacement for me of 3 dudes in a room playing together at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a vibe guy.
Yeah. I'm glad we pulled it off, but yeah, it's not I wouldn't like to do that again. Yeah.
I tell you what, man, I mentioned Riddle of Steel earlier. I was trying to remember, I don't know if you recall, sort of in the maybe 2007, 8, 9, 10, around there was a rival download music platform called eMusic. and I think they had like 50 or 60-cent downloads that you could purchase music like that rather than using iTunes, and they seem to have almost everything. At some point, they had a really good algorithm originally where it would recommend music. I'm almost certain at the time I was buying like Shiner or some noise rock shit from the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was like, you would probably like Riddle of Steel. And I was like, oh, all right, and I listened to it, and immediately I was like, wow, their algorithm is on point. I really love this band, and who the fuck is this guy playing drums? And it was you.
Oh, I hope it was. It could have been Dave too.
No, I know. It was the first one was Got That Feeling. That I ended up
right on. Okay.
doing. I think then I went back to Python that has Dave, and then 1985, which has you, correct?
It does. Yeah, I'm on the last two. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting time with that band. And I would later see Andrew Elsner, guitarist, singer from Riddle of Steel, play with Torch. They were coming through New York. I was living in New York at the time, and Torch was coming through New York constantly and playing St. Vitus. So I saw Andrew with them multiple times.
Really good.
And they were so damn good. And so, but as far as Riddle of Steel, well, first of all, where are you now? Are you in Oklahoma, Kansas? Where are you?
I've lived in Seattle for a little over 10 years.
Oh, you're in Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I moved up here. Yeah, I moved up here early summer of 15. So yeah.
Oh wow, where are the other Traindodge guys?
They're all in Oklahoma City. I just go back when we have to do stuff. So yeah.
I gotcha. Is Museum of Light out of Seattle?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I'm starting to piece the puzzle together here, Rob.
Yeah. I have another band that's also on Spartan Records called Calm Collapse. It's also from Seattle. So right now, just 3 bands. So
just 3,
which is for me, that's doing good. So yeah.
I mean, props, dude. Going back to, I guess, the Riddle of Steel time, did one of your bands play with Riddle of Steel and you saw Dave with them and then you ended up joining the band?
Actually, before Dave. So when they first started, they had a drummer named Ken McRae. Rest in peace. He was an amazing drummer, really great drummer, St. Louis guy. And they had an EP called Burn. And Ascetic put that out, who ended up putting out all the Riddle of Steel stuff and a good chunk of the Traindodge stuff too. So we were doing a lot of shows with them in the Midwest. And then we did a tour after Python came out. We did a big West Coast tour with, it was a Traindodge Riddle of Steel tour, which was a lot of fun. And then, I mean, it wasn't a whole lot after that. I can't remember. It was probably 2003 or 4. And Riddle had just parted ways with Dave. And it was like, I mean, like maybe a week or 2 before tour.
Oh. And
so Andrew called me. He's like, hey, we're kind of in a spot here. Can you help us out? So I like learned their set in 2 days, drove up there and did I think a 2-week tour with those guys. And then kind of stayed after that, just kind of kept going.
Oh, that's crazy. Was that for that first tour? Who was Riddle of Steel playing with? It wasn't Traindodge. You weren't double dipping, were you?
The first time we went to the West Coast, no, Dave was still in the band.
Okay.
And then the first tour I did, it was just me, although the last 2 shows were also with Traindodge, so I did play double. But then we did, I mean, I want to say at least 2 or 3 other tours that were Traindodge Riddle tours where I did both sets back to back. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Were you able to pace yourself okay to not be completely burnt out by the second one?
Yeah, that I couldn't do it now, but yeah. in my 20s, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Damn, man. What were some of the other bands that I guess Riddle of Steel would have even like done tours with that you recall with your time in the band?
With my time, we did a tour. Well, that first tour we did with a Spanish band called No More Lies. We did a tour with, we did 2 tours opening for Local H, bunch of tours with Traindodge. I'm trying to think if there's any other long tours with another band the whole time. I'm probably blanking. Oh, we did an East Coast tour with this great band called Dropsonic. Do you know that band?
I don't think so.
Jason Farrell from Blue Tip and Swizz, awesome DC musician.
Right on.
We did a tour with them. I'm probably forgetting something really bad right now.
Yeah.
Someone's going like, you forgot me.
When you listen back to either, Got That Feeling or 1985, what do you hear in your playing that might have been sort of a more obvious influence? I mean, I always can hear I feel like a lot of you guys have, and I say you guys as like between sort of the Shiner group all the way over to y'all. I feel that there's a common theme there with Bonham and just playing big, big, powerful, bombastic shit.
Yeah.
Maybe some Dale Crover or something. I'm not sure, but I was just curious, like if you've revisited that, or you're like, you know what, I can hear a few particular influences coming through at that time.
When I listen to Got This Feeling, the main thing I hear is Turnkrantz, because a couple of those songs were done before I joined. In particular, one called Our Guitars Are Haunted. That's just a crazy, busy drum part, which I love, and I would never have come up with on my own.
Gotcha.
It's a lot of fun to play, but at that point, when I first started, when I joined, all we were doing is playing Python songs, plus a couple of the new ones that they'd written with Dave. So I was just basically doing my best Turnkrantz impersonation.
Interesting.
And then, but I think, to your point though, I think in general that band, Bonham's I think Bonham mixed with Stuart Copeland. That's probably what.
Nice.
The drummer in that band is kind of like, and I think it's cool to listen to that band. They recorded with 3 drummers, and I've seen them live with even 2 other guys. So I've seen that band with 4 different drummers, and then I've been a drummer. I think it's a testament to Andrew and Jimmy that they sound like Riddle of Steel in all those, with all those different drummers, which is awesome. That's kind of what you want. You want an identity. That's the hardest thing to do, honestly, as a band, is like have a thing that's just yours. So.
Right. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Police thing. I can hear, I'm not certain if it's maybe Andy Summers' guitar influence with Andrew, or possibly some of the Stuart Copeland isms, albeit again, probably a little more like big, crazy, bombastic style in your case.
Yeah.
But there is a Police influence that is for sure I can hear in Riddle of Steel.
I think that delay thing that Andrew does on guitar, I mean, it's a kind of like a shorthand Andy Summers thing. It's does it. And actually a lot of the stuff on Python too, there's a lot of like kind of on top of the beat, kind of Stuart Copeland-y kind of things happening,
right?
Which is really, I find kind of fascinating, because when you listen to like Russian Circles, he really changed. He doesn't play that way.
Not at all.
Yeah. Which is super interesting. Yeah.
Right. And of course, for those listening who haven't pieced it together, we're talking about Dave Turnkrantz now, who, as you just said, plays with Russian Circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy.
Another guy that I've interviewed, I had a fun interview. I interviewed him back in the day in Brooklyn in this old, it's almost like you play in the gymnasium. It's this place, Warsaw, that's in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And there's still like old classrooms with little chairs and like an old movie projector. And the acoustics, honestly, are complete shit. They sounded good because they could just crank up and play that big, heavy kind of black metals halftime shit.
Yeah.
But it was fun talking to him as well. I don't recall how much I talked to him about Riddle, so I should probably go back and listen to that. But yeah, it's really interesting now catching up with both of y'all. But in listening to Got That Feeling, there's that track, This Is a House of Lies. And I really dig, it's a great guitar line that goes through the verse, and your drumming also really killer, man.
Oh yeah, thank you. That would have been one of the, outside of Baby Bird, maybe that'd been one of the first ones that we did after I joined.
Nice. Do you feel like you, with the short circumstances, although you had to learn a bunch of Python stuff and go out and do that tour, you kind of got a primer of both the band and Dave's style? By the time Got That Feeling came around in a song like I just mentioned, do you feel like you were kind of like you were at home with it, so to speak?
Yeah, I would say, yeah. There's definitely some stuff that I like, but I'm like I said, I wouldn't have come up with on my own, but it was a blast to play. But there's plenty of stuff that I helped put together in the room with them, and I got to do my own drum parts, and so I definitely feel like I'm on there. And but for sure by the last record, 1985, it's even more so. The way Andrew was writing songs also changed around then too, so it's a really different sounding record to me. I like it, but
with 1985, you're saying? Yeah,
it's kind of miles, to me anyway. A lot of it is kind of far away from Got This Feeling. It's a little less manic. It's a little more I don't know what the right word is, measured or something. It's a little
right. More. I like one of the songs that I really like off 1985 as well. I've actually mentioned it to Andrew before. Is the Who's the Fellow That Owns This Shithole? The Clint Eastwood reference there, Western reference.
We got good. So it's Who's the Fellow Owns This Shithole, and we got so much people like the guy who was doing the artwork. He's like, "Did you know it just says Who's the Fellow Owns shouldn't it be who's the fellow that owns? It's like, no. In the movie, he just says, who's the fellow owns this shithole?
You're right. He does say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
like, no, don't put that in there. That's how he says it. Yeah.
That's funny, man. We're going literal with this one.
Oh yeah.
No, I dig Andrew's kind of chicken picking kind of intro that goes through the verse on that one. And then, like that intro.
He's so good, man. He's so good.
I love it, dude. With some of the shows that y'all played, are there any particularly fun ones, any particular bizarre ones? When you think about back on those days, I mean, I'm assuming it's just the three of y'all traveling in a van.
Yes. Maybe once or twice we got to take a merch person with us, but most of the time just the three of us.
Yeah.
And a lot of, you know the deal, like sleeping on floors and.
Oh yeah.
But fun, I was like in my late 20s, I guess, mid to late 20s, something like that. It was just I'm so glad I had those years. Yeah, we were going pretty hard. We were touring all the time, and a couple of trips to Europe, all over the US, and those like local age tours were pretty cool. There was a couple of really big shows, over 1,000 people on that one, and then
awesome.
Played with Alkaline Trio once. That was a pretty big show. Those are probably the biggest ones, although some of those were like openings. So on our own, we really did well in Tampa. There was a promoter in Tampa, Florida called what was his name? Jack Spatafora.
Okay.
And he was just really huge supporter of the band, huge fan, and just made sure I think he invited us down. We weren't planning on going. He's like, hey, come down and play, and just really, hit the pavement, make sure everyone knew about us. And we had a lot of great shows there. Like we'd go on tour for like a month, and it'd be like making maybe $100 from the door, selling a couple hundred, sleeping on floors, and then in Tampa you get to Tampa and it's like, oh cool, we made 1,500 and we sold it's like for one night on tour you were like, oh shit, if every town in America was like this, we could quit, we wouldn't have to work.
Right.
So, yeah.
What a bizarre thing. So he was just a fan of the band, and he was
a big fan and really connected in that town, and just put in a lot of time making sure we had really great shows there, and we always had really great shows there. Yeah.
Amazing. Were there moments, I'm assuming, because you were playing in Traindodge as early as what, late 90s, early 2000s?
Traindodge started in summer of 96.
Wow.
And I'd say for the first probably, let's say 7 to 8 years or so, we were pretty like all in. Everyone was like, kind of full-timing it. And then in the early 2000s, the other two guys were kind of like, hey, this is cool, let's keep going, but what if we had jobs where we could maybe buy a house or go on vacation?
Do
which makes
adult shit.
It makes all the sense in the world. And I'm slightly younger than those guys, and I just wasn't ready yet. So kind of ever since then, I've been in Traindodge plus another band. So
wow.
So for a while it was Riddle of Steel. For a very short time, do you know Gunfighter, Jason Blackmore's band?
I don't know that I do.
So okay, so it started as a Molly Maguire side project.
Okay.
Gherkin was the drummer.
Crazy.
And they did 2 records. And then around the time Gherkin joined Shiner, I think this is right, Molly Maguire kind of folded, and Blackmore kind of put all of his energy into Gunfighter. And then because Gherkin was in Shiner, he got David Silver to play drums. So David Silver did a bunch of touring in Gunfighter. And then after that, after Dave, I think, moved back east, he needed a drummer. So I played with Blackmore for about a year in that band. And then after that was actually before Riddle of Steel, and then Riddle of Steel. And then I played, and after Riddle of Steel broke up, I played briefly in a band called City of Ships.
Okay.
I just needed a drummer in that time. And then then I did about a year and a half playing with the Life and Times.
Oh, crazy. I didn't know you played in the Life of Times.
Yeah, not drums.
Oh, really?
So yeah, for about a year and a half, they had a fourth dude doing like keyboard, guitar, backup vocals, a little percussion. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then right around then is when my wife and I started having kids. So then I just kind of slowed down and just did the odd Traindodge tour now and again. And then, and now my kids are old enough. I'm pretty busy again. So yeah, at that point I lived in Seattle, and I started a couple bands up here, and then,
that was going to be one of the things. I was pretty sure. How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
Okay. How old are they?
16 and 11.
Okay. A little spread out, 5 years apart.
Yeah. Yep.
Crazy. Once that started happening, it sounds like you had to take a little bit of a step back and sort of balance all that, or you just have
did mostly because they both had pretty significant health issues early on, both in life. So I had like kind of as soon as we got one taken care, kind of settled health wise, the other one had a issue. So it just kind of turned into like a 8 or 9 year period where that's all I did was really, just manage. Yeah. Kid
wow
stuff. Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
How do you balance it now that they're older? I mean, when they're one is
older,
a teenager, but
one is a teenager driving
crazy,
really independent, and the other one's just started middle school.
Yeah.
And also I moved, my parents are a little older, so we moved, my wife and I moved my parents up here just so they could have a little help. We found a house in Seattle that had a separate apartment in the lower level.
Nice.
So they live here too. So that's handy too. They can, when the kids get home from school, they can always just run downstairs and hang out with the grandparents. So, so all of that combined, at some point, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, my wife was like, I think if you want to go on tour again, I think we're good. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Damn. So yeah, you got the grandparents in for your kids, that is, in the house to help you with that, and it sounds like both a supportive, significant other, which is also crucial.
Oh, of course, yes. No, the best. The best, the most supportive person. Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah, I've been married for like I don't know, 27 years, something like that, a long time.
Wow. Going back to when you first started playing, when did you what age were you when you got your first full like drum set or even half drum set?
I started playing. So like I was, where I lived in Virginia at the time, like, in 6th grade, they started school band around 6th grade or whatever. And I wasn't like a sports kid or whatever. So when it came time to an elective, I was like, I'll do band, but only if I can do drums, because at that point I was like well into being a rock fan. So I was like, well, drums make sense. Like you can't play flute in a rock band.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
So
Jethro Tull might be one of the few exceptions, right?
Yeah. And so I did that. And then, so that was like 6th grade. I think by 8th or 9th grade, I'd badgered my parents enough to get a drum kit. And then, that was it.
What was your first drum set?
Oh, it was a Tama. What do they call it? I think they're just called Rocks. Not the nice ones. It was just called Rockstar.
Not the Superstar, but
no, it was like Tama's like Pearl Export kind of thing.
Got you.
Like, I don't know what the wood was.
Yeah. How long did you have that kit, and was that what you were playing your first shows on?
Yeah. So within a year of getting that kit, I had a band, playing local shows, and then pretty quickly I traded that in towards I wish I still had it. It's a 1969 Ludwig, like white marine pearl kit. Is like something like 13, 16, 18, 24. I had the little rail on it for the tom mount. And then I like stupidly sold that to get another newer Ludwig kit. Which that kit's on the first 2 Traindodge records.
Okay.
And then I sold that to buy a bigger, older Ludwig kit, like a 90s kit that's still sitting in my basement here. And that's on Got This Feeling. That's on probably 4 or 5 Traindodge records. That's on a lot of stuff.
What Ludwig kit is that? Because there was one, I saw some video. I don't recall if it was Traindodge or Riddle of Steel when I was going down at YouTube rabbit holes. It looked like you were playing like I don't know that it was a power tom, but it was pretty deep, and it made the bass drum look smaller, like a 20-inch, or maybe it wasn't. It was just a deep rack tom. It was white.
Well, you might have seen a picture of me playing with Traindodge with my first or my second Ludwig kit, which is a blonde maple, and it did have the deep toms, but it was like 12. Weirdly 15, and the kick was a 20.
That's what I thought. So, it looked like a 20.
Yeah, and so for somebody as big as me, they look like little. It looks like a child's,
Yeah.
And I used to back in that. I used to sit really high.
Yeah.
And I had my cymbals pretty low.
Right.
And then as I've aged, I've sat lower,
and your cymbals are higher.
And I played bigger. I got bigger drums. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I will say that 22, or the 20 rather, that kick. Especially recording
they're very specific and very like tonally awesome. You can get a lot of resonance, I find, with them. I love the way that 20s record.
Super punchy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so that's the story. That was one of the other questions because, again, in going down that rabbit hole, I saw that kit and I was like, I'd swear he was playing a 20-inch bass drum. So
Yes.
that's what that one was. With in listening, or I guess going back to when you first started playing, who were some of the drummers and or bands that you were especially digging at the time?
When I would have started, like as far as specifically drums go, you mentioned already Bonham,
Yeah.
Stuart Copeland, those are big ones. Bill Bruford.
Oh yeah.
Weirdly, Alex Van Halen. I don't think he gets mentioned enough. He's a great drum. And and then like newer stuff, like I tend to be like it's not like my favorite drummers are the ones that like the ones I find myself ripping off are the ones that I've listened to a million times.
Yeah.
And the drummers I've listened to a million times, oddly, or honestly, it's not because of the drums, it's because I like the song so much. So I'll end up like mentioning a lot of drummers who are like, that guy's not that good. I'm like, well, but I listen to that stuff so much that that stuff just kind of comes out in my playing, whether I like it or not. So obviously Ringo,
Yeah.
Brendan from Fugazi.
Oh, he's so good.
Which you might not think on a technical level, some bit like just the
He's
way
so
he
good.
plays. I found myself on a couple of occasions, like I remember one Traindodge, some EP we did, and I like recorded this fill, and I was like, oh, that's so good. And then like after it came out, like 5 months later, I was listening to something on Steady Diet and Nothing, and I was like,
whoops,
fuck, that's what that is. That's exactly. I just subconsciously caught that fill entirely, and that's what that is. So,
yeah. It's funny you mentioned both Brendan and Ringo. I interviewed him as well some time ago, and I told him that he was my Ringo because there's always that generation.
I thought you were going to say you interviewed Ringo.
I did not. No, but I interviewed Brendan, and I was just telling him that he was my Ringo because there's that whole generation that saw the Ed Sullivan Show, and we're like, all right, that's what I want to do, and definitely hearing Fugazi and digging both sort of his approach to it, his groove, his dynamics, and everything else with the band and how musical it was and the attitude that everybody had, and just their very interesting approach in the first place to keeping this punk attitude but not being confined to necessarily like punk riffs or punk chord progressions. They were just really expansive, but while still somehow keeping this sort of punk, attitude. And I'm a big fan of Brendan's playing. I think he's pretty fucking amazing.
I do too, and I don't think he gets mentioned enough. Yeah,
I agree.
As a drummer, but again, that's just me.
Right. Damn.
A guy, the band Chavez?
Absolutely.
That guy, James Lowe, he's a big one. Love that guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And then like I don't, like I've listened to enough Steely Dan, like whoever plays on those records is there's so many of them, but
could be grab bag of ridiculous drummers.
Yeah, Phil Collins playing on Peter Gabriel records, but lots of Peter Gabriel drummers too. Just huge fan of that stuff.
Absolutely. Vistalite drums. At which point did you start playing those, and did you kind of get a Vistalite kit, and that's sort of been your go-to since then?
Since I've got that kit, yeah, I've played that a lot. So my practice space here in Seattle, we share with a couple of bands, and the one of the bands is the Museum of Light guitar player's other band, and in that band, his little brother is the drummer, Jeff, great drummer, Jeff Alvarez, and he had a Vistalite kit, and the space was so small we could only have one kit kind of set up at one time. So he was like, "Oh, we'll just leave mine set up," and so I ended up playing his Vistalite kit kind of every time I practiced, and just over the course of, I don't know, probably about a year, I'm like, just got so into it and like, okay, I gotta get myself one of these.
Yeah.
And so did get exactly that. The bass drum's slightly bigger, but other than that, same. It's 24, 13, 16.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it's like one of those things where I got really, I had this kit here, the Vistalite kit here in Seattle, like, oh, this is the thing. And then I had this one, the CNC kit in Oklahoma City for when I went back for Traindodge stuff.
Yeah.
And then one of the guitar player, the second guitar player in Traindodge, this guy Ross, he's also a really great drummer.
Okay.
And he plays in this band called Alumnus. He has a Vistalite kit exactly the same size as mine. So it got to the point where I would go back to Oklahoma, fly back for a show, and I was like, well, I'll just use yours because that's what I'm used to using. And so last time I was down there in a van, I was like, I'm just going to bring these back because I need a little rehab. So I just brought these back because I'm just going to use your kit when I'm in town. And then get these back into shape. And then I started recording. Yeah, the Vislight kit, the clear Vislight kit's on the first Museum of Light record. It's on the first Com Collapse record. It's on the last Traindodge record. It's not on the newest Museum of Light record because we flew to Norway to make that record, and I didn't fly with the kit, obviously. So.
What that's so interesting that you say that. That was one of the records that I wanted to ask you about. What studio did y'all record, and what's the name of the record again?
The new Museum of Light record is called Diviner.
Okay, got you.
And that's our second, and we recorded that at a studio called Ocean Sound, and it's on the west coast of Norway, outside of a city called Ålesund, and it's a guy. Do you know Kalundwald City?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so Scott has done both of that band's records, and after we did the first one at his place in Oakland, and then at some point in the following year, I saw on Instagram he was recording this band, Coil Guns, a Swiss band.
Oh, I know them. I've interviewed Luke Hess as well.
Okay, yeah, so he was doing their last record at this studio, and he kept posting photos of this gorgeous studio right on the coast.
I feel like I saw pictures of that, and I might have even talked to Luke about this.
Yeah, so I immediately texted Scott. I was like, dude, where are you right now? And he's like, oh, I'm in this studio. I'm like, and I was kind of like, oh man, that looks amazing. I'm assuming like people like us can't afford that studio. And he's like, actually, it's not that bad. And so we just kept talking about it, and we're like, all right, we're gonna go. And so we just did it.
How long were y'all there for to record?
We were there we had the studio for 8 or 9 days, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I went there, and so I just they had. I knew they have a big gear list, so I knew what kits they had, what snares they had, even cymbals. So I literally flew to Norway with a bag of sticks and nothing else because I knew that they had. Oh, and a couple drum heads I took with me because I'm picky about that. But I knew they had this awesome old Ludwig, like late '60s, I think, kit, and then awesome, Istanbul cymbals and K Constantinople cymbals that I can't afford anyway.
Damn.
I'll just use those. And they had a Superphonic just like mine. So I'm like, well, that's there. So I'll just use that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really dig the drum sound and overall production of that most recent record. That's interesting. I knew nothing of the background on that. So that's really interesting talking to you about it.
Yeah, Scott's great. He gets drum sounds like, I'll do a playback. I'm like, Scott, those drums sound amazing. And he's like, he always tries to, it's like, no, well, that's because of you. I'm like, no, I recorded my drums by myself. And it's like, it doesn't sound like that. Yeah.
Damn, dude. Yeah. I think I saw a post in maybe on your Instagram. You were at God City Studios setting up drums. What'd you record there with or for? That's
my other band here called Calm Collapse.
Calm Collapse.
Do you know a band from the 90s called Roadside Monument?
I don't think so.
Okay. They were a Seattle band in the 90s. It's the guitar player singer of that band playing guitar and singing, myself on drums, and my friend Jonathan playing bass. And we did our first record here in Seattle with Matt Bayless, and then wanted to change it up. So we went to Kurt Ballou to record in Salem at his studio.
Awesome.
And again, I saw he had awesome drums. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to bring some cymbals, and I brought a snare, but he had a better snare, so we used that.
Right. Yeah. Everyone that I've talked to, there's been a lot of drummers that I've talked to that have recorded there, and I'm pretty sure everyone has said that they've recorded with a Frankenstein kit, which is funny because when I saw that picture, I was like, "There's your Franken kit." God City Studios sounds like
they're different. They're different color wraps, but I think they're all kind of the same era.
Oh, interesting.
Ludwig drums. I don't know if they're actually from other kits. I could be wrong about that, but
okay.
Looking at them, they looked like they were like identical age.
Really?
But just kind of like a jelly bean kind of setup. But they sound great. I mean, that's one of those things putting like a clear Emperor on a Ludwig, any kind of Ludwig for the last 3 decades. Like I know how to make that sound the way I want. So if the studio has that, I'm like, cool. If I bring these heads, I think I'm good.
Yeah. And they were cool with you like swapping heads on the studio kits?
Oh, they insisted.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I walked in there, these heads look pretty good. And Kurt's like, nah, new heads, use new heads. I'm like, okay. And then he actually cause I'm a fairly decent tuner, but not, I'm like, oh, hey, that's good. That sounds great.
Yeah.
And then when I was done doing what I was doing, Kurt's like, you mind if I have a go? And so I just left the room, and he just like went to work for like 30 or 40 minutes, and they sound amazing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kurt gets incredible drum tones. I've mentioned it many times throughout the years of the podcast, that sort of unconsciously I've amassed probably the most records of any other producer in my record
Yeah.
collection. After it took me a while to just be like, oh, I didn't even realize Kurt did this record. I just loved the way it sounded. I thought it captured whatever the essence of this fucking big, bombastic, crazy band was, and it just is sounds like that. And then I realized, oh yeah, these are Kurt Ballou productions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially in that. I mean, I know he works all over the place, but that room and guys, which when you walk in, at first you might be a little. It's small. It's not a huge room.
Okay.
But kind of like that. I think it's kind of like that electrical in Chicago, which I'd never been to, but I've seen pictures. They have that one really massive, tall, 2-story room, but then they have that other room. And that's generally where you hear like drummers are like, oh no, that's where you want to go. Is that kind of like smaller room?
Gotcha.
And it feels like it's like that kind of size room.
Yeah.
So you can get pretty huge sounds, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So question for you, man. I know you mentioned playing keys. I played with some buddies in this kind of bizarro noise rock band that only played a few shows before it collapsed, probably circa 2008, 9, 10, something like that. But anyway, they had mentioned that in seeing Traindodge, and that was the first time I think I had heard of Traindodge, that you were playing keys and playing drums at the same time. I was curious about that phase of the band and how the hell you were doing that.
Yeah, that started because kind of like I was mentioning earlier, we early on we were going really, really hard. We were in the room like 6 nights a week.
Wow.
Just playing all the time. And then at some point, probably several of us were like, hey, what if we didn't do that so much? What if we backed off and had a life? And what that meant was like we weren't writing songs as fast. And so we started writing individually, kind of like all of us bringing in little bits. And I can play a little guitar, but if you have somebody like my brother playing guitar, he's an amazing guitar player, like I'm not going to write guitar parts for him. So I would write on keyboard. And that's how I brought ideas to the band. And then when those ideas got recorded after the record came out, like, oh, how do we do this live? And I was like, well, I think I can pull off most of this. It's one of those things that looks far more impressive than it actually, it's like, I'd be holding, I mean, it's not that simple, but like holding a chord shape with your left hand. It's like, well, cool. You do this anyway. Just instead of with a stick, just make your hand a chord shape and play it, and then play the other part, the kick and snare and whatever with your, right hand. So just started that way. And then, it's a thing that just kind of opened up some sonic things for the band. We haven't done it lately just because it's hard logistically. If I'm flying in, or if we're doing like, oh, we're doing this festival or doing a set where I have half an hour, it's like, well, you're going to spend all this time setting up this keyboard rig. Or we used to do, after that, I got into like, it got so ornate that had backing tracks. I had in-ears and backing tracks.
Oh boy.
So that's another layer. So there's a time where like, I would have like in-ears with a click track for a backing track. I would have one of those SPD samplers to hit stuff. And I would have a keyboard that I would hit with my left hand. And I would have this, my kit used to be a lot bigger, more cymbals, 2 floor tops, that kind of thing. And it just got to be so much where you'd set up and I'm like, oh, I gotta get set up for like, I feel like an hour just getting set up, and then I would really look forward to a Riddle of Steel tour. Like, oh, all I have to do is set up a drum kit and play drums.
Just be a drummer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that's how that. So we still like playing those songs. It's just, and I'm sure we'll do more of that. It's just kind of like lately, it's been logistically kind of tough to do.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to see that with my own eyes at some point. I always dig that. You mentioned earlier sort of that you started off sitting high with low cymbals and that you've sat lower and put your cymbals up. When I saw y'all in Atlanta, it was one of the things that I noticed that, you had them sitting up pretty good. And when you put the crash into the crash, when you hit them, it's definitely an explosion of cymbals, and it sounds really, really good. It's not like it's undynamic where I'm like, that all I hear is this guy's cymbals. You've got it incorporated with the dynamics of everything else, but it just sounds really good. And I always appreciate it, and I'm also always like, that could get expensive,
It's not cheap, like I've got a what do they call a B deal with ProMark, where you get sticks for like cost, basically.
Right.
I would trade that in a heartbeat for like
cymbals is the one. Give me that any day.
Yeah. So I mean, I can get like hi-hats, I can get like 8-9 years out of.
Yeah.
And crash cymbals on this side I can get 5 or 6 years out of.
Uh-huh.
It's this one on this side.
Right hand,
that I'm
ride,
mostly
ride
bashing.
crash.
I like if I can get a year, I'm doing good.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever get like the manufacturer warranty or like extended warranty that'll cover it if it's within the lathe is one of the things that they say?
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. In fact, that's the only way I could afford to do it.
I hear you.
Buy the $100 warranty,
Right.
when you buy it, and then like just they cut you a check for the original value of the cymbal. The last 3 times I've tried, they've denied the claim, and it was an in the groove crack, and they still denied it. So I'm like, well, I'm not gonna. If you're not gonna honor it, I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah. I've just gotten into the point of where I've throughout time, if there's a cymbal that I'm interested in and I can find it used and it appears to be good, I know I'm not getting a warranty with it. I've just kind of collected them over time. I've got a cymbal case over there that's like filled with some of that shit. And I'm glad that I just done it when I was maybe making a little more money than I am now. And I've just got this cymbal reserve over there because it's only a matter of time before we crack them.
I've got a big stack behind my kit at the practice space, like at probably 8 or 10 deep.
Yeah.
And I should be better about using those as practice cymbals and saving my good ones for tours and recording. And I don't. I'm just like, I want to play this nice one because it sounds good.
I've definitely got a whole pair on this kit, like kind of right behind me here, where it's like, all right, those are my studio cymbals. I cannot go play them. I've spent too much money on them. I'm not. That's just what I'm going to save them for.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Yeah. Museum of Light, you mentioned that earlier. When did that band start? About when did that start, I guess?
So I moved to Seattle in 2015, and me and the guitar player, Ted, I've known for years, a lot longer than that. We started playing kind of as soon as I got here in different iterations. And then we started the songs that kind of made up the first Museum of Light record. We probably started writing those in like 17 or 18.
Okay.
I want to say, and then went and made a record with Scott in Oakland in like late February of 2020.
Okay.
So like on our way home from making that record, we turned on like a podcast, a news podcast to see what was going on. Because, when you make a record, you're kind of like, you spend a week, you're not paying attention to anything else. You're just doing that.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on in the world? And we put on a podcast, and all of a sudden it was like, this virus, is this the thing we have to worry about? And like, by the time we got back, it's like, we got to worry about this. And so
we're gonna have to worry about this.
Yeah. And like a week later, everything shut down, and we kind of sat on the record for a bit, which is actually okay, because then I got in touch with John from Spartan Records, and he heard it and really liked it, and then decided to put it out.
Awesome.
So yeah, and at this point, that's my most active. I think we spent probably 3 or 4 months out of this year. By the end of the year, we'll spend about 3 or 4 months on tour.
Damn.
In that band.
When in going out on tour, how are you physically holding up with everything?
I'm doing okay. I would say since June of this year, I've started. Have you ever had like tennis elbow?
Yes.
Type stuff. Okay. So that's new to me. That's a thing that just started in June, and it's only gotten worse. And so, past that, okay. Like it's usually like the first couple nights of tour, and it's usually not playing. It's like loading and unloading the van. And your back is like, hey,
oh yeah,
hold up. You're not 28 anymore, man. Like,
nope.
But by the end of a tour, everyone seems to adjust, and it's all right.
Okay.
So yeah,
right on. I'll have to email you some supplements that I've taken throughout the years, because I've also had dumb injuries from bike accidents, multiples of those, to everything from flipping over fences on my birthday and cracking my ankles, all kinds of dumb shit. So I've been playing through injuries, dumb injuries, drunken injuries for fucking ever.
Yeah. So I'm glad we can still do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about, playing with cymbals, people are like, usually it's the opposite. As you get older, you make it easier on yourself. And I feel like I'm going the other way, but
well, as you sit lower, I think it's natural to kind of hit up above you. So I think makes some ergonomic sense like that. I mean, if you start having shoulder trouble, you might want to reconsider it, but if it's not bothering you,
this just feels like,
that's
like the best. It's like, I used to play, like I said, like really down low. I think watch too many like Jawbox videos or whatever. Like, oh, I'm gonna play like that guy. Everything really kind of low. Or whatever.
Zach really does play like that, actually. Yeah.
And then I found myself like at a party one night, like air drumming, doing like this and like that kind of stuff. Like, dude, just set your drums up like that.
Right.
Because this is obviously what you wanted. So I just started doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are like, that's crazy. Although I will say recording engineers love it.
Do they? Well, they like the separation of the cymbals to the drums.
They're like, cool. Now your drums will sound like they're going to sound. You're not going to have these 24-inch cymbal 2 inches away from your tom
blasting into tom mics.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it tends to work out. They're like, oh, this is great. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And you know what? It looks cool.
It's fun, man. It's fun. It's fun. It's a dumb justification for doing, probably incorrect ergonomic things, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's working for you, man. What else do you have going on in 2025 or into 2026?
So I leave, Museum of Light leaves in about a week for an East Coast tour down to the Fest in Gainesville. Well, actually, if you're around, I'll be at the Earl in Atlanta.
Okay.
On I think it's a Tuesday or Wednesday night.
Okay.
On our way down. We started the tour opening actually for Shiner here in Seattle.
Nice.
And then a couple shows in December opening for Season to Risk.
Cool. Another drummer I've interviewed.
Oh yeah, Dave's great, man. I love Dave. We're doing Portland and Seattle with those guys, and at that point we're shutting it down for the rest of the year. The record came out in springtime, and we've been hitting it pretty hard. Like I said, we've been out for 3 or 4 months this year, so I think it's slow it down, start writing the next one, and I think some Traindodge stuff next year too, and and then hopefully get this other Calm Collapse record. We need to get that. We recorded it, but we need to finish it, and then get that released hopefully next year as well. And we'll see.
Awesome, man. Keeping the train a running, 3 bands deep. I love it.
Trying to, man.
Something to be said for it. It's a hell of a balancing act. I'm glad you can do it.
Yeah. What else are you going to do? I don't know.
Exactly. Excellent. Yeah. Whatever. Well, man, Rob, it was great talking to you, dude. Like I said, I'm a fan. It's really cool to catch up with you after being a fan of all these years, and before podcasts were ever a thing, thinking it'd be cool to catch up with that guy at some point. So this is kind of surreal in a very kind of circular way, but it's cool, man.
Thanks, Jody. Appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. We will catch up soon, man. Best of luck for the rest of the year and going into 2026, man.
Thank you. Same to you, man.
Yeah, man. All right, that does it for this one. Thanks to Rob for catching up and running through the stories with all his bands, past and present, throughout the years between Traindodge, Museum of Light, Calm Collapse, Riddle of Steel, and more. Definitely great to catch up with him, and got to see him live again soon. As always, we'll catch y'all on the next one. Crash, bang, boom.